Hey, this is Sam Black with a Magic 2013 draft. Did a lot of these a couple years ago when streaming was first taking off, kind of. And so I figured I'd do a little throwback, largely for the viewers of my stream, but also everyone else. This is just one of my favorite draft formats. We have an interesting pack. We have a lot of powerful cards here. Vampire Nocturnus, which gives your other vampires flying and +2/+1 sometimes. Magma Quake, which deals X damage, which is like an earthquake that doesn't hit players. And Vampire Nighthawk. I think I like Nighthawk more than Nocturnus. I'm somewhat tempted to take Magma Quake and pass them both. I don't really know what's right for sure, but going with the Magma Quake. So now I have a sweeper. Moving from there, Acidic Slime is a powerful card. It's always just a solid 2-for-1 unlimited. I have an unnatural love for Elixir of Immortality, but I'm pretty sure I'm not supposed to second pick it. Blade Tusk Boar is a solid red card, but I think it's a significant notch behind Acidic Slime. And barring that, we have some fine, weaker, just like normal commons like Centaur Courser and Tormented Soul. I'm going to go with the Acidic Slime. I think it's just too solid of a card. There are some good artifacts in this set, like the Cycle of Rings, and just always stuff like that. So here, cards that stand out are Mog Flunkies is in color, Timberpack Wolf is in color and probably better than Flunkies. Scroll Thief is a great card. What does this do exactly? Oh, it gets bigger when you play other guys. I'm going to go with the Timberpack Wolf, or other creatures. Timberpack Wolf is a card that I think I was a little bit less excited about than other people, but early in the draft when you might get more, it's quite good. If you end up with 3 or more of them, it's a very, very good card. And moving into a third color for Scroll Thief here doesn't really seem like the right thing to do. So the red and green cards are very weak here. The best card by a lot is Knight of Infamy. It's a little awkward to take it since I passed Vampire Nocturnus and Vampire Nighthawk in the first pack, but I think it's a clear enough signal here, and the opportunity cost is low enough that I should take it. If black is really open in packs 1 and 2, or 1 and 3 rather, that'll be good enough. This is just a very good card. So there's Essence Drain and Titanic Growth. And like Fire Elemental is not very exciting. I think I'm just going to take the Essence Drain here. Just try to. It's more important to read signals than to honor the signals that you send. Just limited in general. And this is a very basic limited set, so I think it makes the most sense to take the Essence Drain here. Excuse me. My allergies have been kind of acting up. Alright. Essence Drain. Another Essence Drain. The next best card, I think, is Water Courser, which there's no reason to move into rather than continuing to take black cards here. Wow, that's a really late Searing Spear. That's so late. This is not a card that usually goes that late. Alright, so we're moving into a black-red control kind of direction. Might give up on these green cards. Let's tentatively move them off to the side. Focus on the stuff that I'm getting past. Plus this sweet instant speed sweeper. Let's see, I guess there is Bloodthrone Vampire in this set, so I could try to assemble a Mark of Mutiny sacrifice type thing, but I think it's better to just take the Duty Bound Dead. Exalted is a pretty powerful mechanic. I don't exactly remember how good this thing is. I feel like it's definitely good if you get a lot of them. I have Knight of Infamy already. I think the dream is to get like a bunch of Knight of Infamies and Duty Bound Deads and other exalted things and Tormented Soul. But it's just by itself is a fine random creature to have access to. It's definitely not exciting, but alright. So I think this is between Duress, Dark Favor, and Kite Sail. Dark Favor is kind of like a thing, like putting, like specifically I think there's like a Tormented Soul Dark Favor archetype where you just try to hope they don't have a removal spell and get them. Kite Sail does a similar thing where it's good with like exalted guys but much slower. I'm just going to take the Dark Favor. I don't expect it to go that way, but the opportunity cost there was really low. Similarly here I'm going to take Ravenous Rats, which isn't a card that I'm excited by, but it's a fine playable if you need it. It's always 2 for 1 unless your opponent's hand is empty, if you care about making them discard a card of their choice and having a 1/1. This thing is pretty good if you're very aggressive red, but I have more black than red, and I could theoretically do a sacrifice thing still, so I think I'm going to take the mark and see if I get some ways to sacrifice creatures. Battle Jester seems like the kind of card that's better than it looks, but it looks really bad because it's a 4-mana 2/2, and also the floor on it is really bad. Like, it can just be a 4-mana 2/2 if you're not trying to get through, or if you're not casting red spells. I think Divine Favor is actually a better card than 5-mana 1/6 Vigilance or Hydro Surge. Not that it really matters. Erase is probably better than Index. I guess the more exalted you have, the better Ravenous Rats is. Pack didn't go super well. I just didn't really get anything in the second half of it. And I could be in trouble this pack, but we'll see. It's possible that someone who took one of the vampires got chased out of black. It's also possible that the person I was passing to decided to pass both of them along rather than getting into it. Arms Dealer is definitely the best card in my colors. No question about that. Roaring Primadox is super great if you can draft around it with things like Elvish Visionary, but and it's outstanding with the acidic slime that I have. I could move back into green for the Primadox and then just try to like splash Searing Spears or something. It works with the rats to some extent and the slime. Or I could end up cutting the early black and just splashing the Essence Drains or something. But I think late Searing Spear plus Magma Quake is more of a strong pull than Acidic Slime and Timberback Wolf, and Arms Dealer isn't much worse as a card. It's just a 5 mana 4 damage spell with a lot of upside, so I'm just going to take the Arms Dealer. Goblin Arsonist is some of that upside that I was talking about. Very good Goblin Sacrificed Arms Dealer. I don't know that it's the pick here. Could take Duty Bound Dead or Tormented Soul or Mark of the Vampire. I feel like the important part of the Exalted plan is the Exalted things rather than the unblockable things, but I think the Tormented Dead is better with Dark Favor. I'm going to try pushing the Tormented Soul, rather. I'm going to try pushing the Duty Bound Dead angle. I could easily see regretting that, but it's funny to be on my second pick and deciding between 3 1-drops, and I can imagine any of them being right. Now it's between some very different directions here. Sign in Blood, Giant Scorpion, and Duskmantle Prowler. Duskmantle Prowler looks like a card that plays a little better than it looks. I think I haven't played with it much because it looks bad, but when you have like these other Exalted things, gets in there right away, pumps itself, could be decently big. Giant Scorpion's actually also really good with Exalted, and just a good blocker. I know it was a fantastic card in Innistrad. I think it's a little worse here, but I think I'm going to go with this one. It plays more directions. Spell Twine is... Oh, this is a Chronometon. I don't pass Chronometons. It's like a really bad Hanger Backwalker that gets started earlier. But this card is outstanding all the time in everything. This is like my favorite guy. I do want Sign in Blood, but not if it costs me a Chronometon. So this is between Mog Flunkies, which I'm not excited about. Very, very, very bad with Exalted. Timberpack Wolf, just to backdoor into multiple Timberpack Wolves. Or an Oblivion Ring that I could theoretically splash. Although splashing isn't very easy in Black-Red. I could also just become Black-White Exalted, theoretically. I'm not super attached to Mark of Mutiny, and then I only have 3 red cards, and they were all early picks. But if I go green instead of white, I am up a lot of cards. I think I'm going to go with the Wolf. I guess it's pretty hard to turn down another arms dealer. Alright, so now goblins are a little better. Not enough better that I want a rummaging goblin over a sign in blood, though. This thing is no merfolk looter. Factor Lich is not really usable, and draw 2 is a lot better than target player discards 2. Chandra's Fury is super good against certain decks. Like white-black Exalted, it just kills all their creatures and deals 4 to them. I remember it being a good thing to have, like, exactly one of. A solid curve if you ignore the fact that I have no 4-drops. So hard to cast Tormenting Voice. 2/2 Disentomb, but Disentomb in a deck where I have 2 arms dealers, so it can bring back a removal spell. Or off-color Exalted thing. I guess Wild Guess. Random Fire Elemental. It's okay to have just a big body and a controlling deck with a bunch of removal. I'm gonna take the book. I like the book a lot more than most people, and I don't have anything that costs 4 and I have a lot of removal. Be happy to try to play a control game with this thing. I'm not really interested in 4-mana Stone Rain. I'm not interested in Walking Corpse either, but probably more interested in that than 4-mana Stone Rain, although technically speaking 4-mana Stone Rain is a better sideboard card if you play against someone who's splashing something really powerful off exactly enough sources to cast it or something. But that's one of those things that comes up in theory much, well, that you think about in theory much more than it comes up in practice. Whereas if I literally just don't end up with enough playables, which I'm on track for that being a possibility, then you can just put Walking Corpse in your deck and it's not that bad. It gets bad, but it's not that bad. The way things are trending, though, I don't know if I'm too good for Ravenous Rats. Well, Cathedral of War is on plan, but public execution is very powerful. Just a hard removal spell that does some other things. Sometimes it's a huge blowout. I think that's better than Cathedral of War. So, let's see. We have a third Timberpack Wolf if I want to consider trying to play green, but it doesn't seem super realistic. Flunkies is still totally off plan for my deck, but it is a Goblin for the purposes of Arms Dealer. Goblin Battle Jester is also a Goblin. Rise from the Grave is potentially powerful card that works well with my removal. Not a great pack for me. It's almost certainly wrong to take Timberpack Wolf, but the other cards are so much worse. Maybe I should take Rise from the Grave. Looks like I'm taking the Wolf. Alright, how good is this Phoenix? Returns from your graveyard to your hand is a 4/2 flyer. Alright, that sounds good enough. Especially since I don't have any 4-drops. It's like a bigger Snapping Drake that can also come back. I'm in for that. I don't have a lot of red creatures for this Ring of Valkis. And this thing is fine, but it's not a rare Phoenix. Oh, this thing's weird. Oh, this is probably better. This thing is actually outstanding on Duty Bound Dead. Even if Duty Bound Dead can already regenerate, and this only halves the cost of regeneration, making my 1-drop that just sits in play get bigger over time and then become a larger generator is definitely quite good. This thing is pretty sweet with like Rummaging Goblin and Tormenting Voice type stuff, but Ring of Zathrid, also with Giant Scorpion, the rings are really good if you can reliably put them on a creature of their color. I'm gonna prioritize black creatures a little more because of the ring. And so now I have an option on 4th Timberpack Wolf, 2nd Acidic Slime, or Giant Scorpion. And I'm going to take the Giant Scorpion because of the ring. But it's really tempting to move into green on this pick. And just try to splash red or something, but that makes this thing a lot worse. And these things want double reds that I can just play them and use them on turn 5. Ooh, Krenko's Command is very good with Arms Dealer. That's the thing that's the other goblin I'm looking for. Tormented Soul to go with my Ring of Zathrid and Exalted Creatures. Another Duty Bound Dead. Clay seems better than Battle Jester, but Battle Jester is a goblin. I'm not exactly sure how much that matters. I feel like Clay is enough better that I should take it. Now I'll take a Battle Jester. I could see wanting access to +2/2 in Mountain Walk. I could also see wanting to play Rummaging Goblin. I don't like either of these cards. I think I wrote an article about how I don't draft Canyon Minotaur, but I also don't need another 5-drop, I think. Alright. I certainly don't remember this format well enough to know exactly how good this deck is, but it looks like I kind of got there. These seem like a good set of 1-drops. I'm probably aggressive enough that it's not particularly sane to main deck Jam-Day Tome. On the other hand, I do have a lot of cheap spells. Removal. I should sideboard it realistically. This ended up being a really bad Magma Quake deck. I'm just all small ground creatures that it kills, but it's not the kind of card that I think that it's reasonable to cut in limited. This thing is basically a creature. I'm not big on Rummaging Goblin, but I think when I have 2 Arms Dealers, I'm supposed to play it. We'll say that playing it means I should not main deck the Jam-Day Tome, though. And then I think I'm just going to cut Fire Elemental, because I have all these other expensive not creatures. And I don't really think that I need it to win. I have 14 creatures plus Krenko's Command, and my Duty Bound Deads and Ring of Zathrid build big creatures, plus I have the Phoenix. So I think this is probably my deck, and I think I'm going to go 9-8 rather than 10-7 because I want double red for the Arms Dealers, and I want to be able to cast this thing. Alright, all set.